I don't know you. I don't know who you are. But what I do know is that you're a car person, guy or girl. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching a Porsche video. And that's not all I know. I know that you cannot park your car in a car park or in your driveway without looking back at it at least once, if not twice. And if you can, well, that just simply means that you haven't bought the right car. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Try and explain that to a non-car person. Enter the 992 Porsche 911 GTS, the happy medium as it's known amongst many. As the plate suggests, this is the first ever front-wheel drive Porsche. Of course not, it's four-wheel drive. But James, you would have enjoyed that. So what is it? Well, it's a beefed up version of the 911 Carrera, an upgrade to what is already a brilliant specimen of a sports car. And in this video, we're going to be talking about what that looks like, but more importantly, what that feels like. I just got very angry. The GTS doesn't care if you're a professional driver. It doesn't even care if you're a good driver. It doesn't criticize, it doesn't judge, it doesn't ask any uncomfortable questions. It doesn't know how to negate responsibility. It doesn't matter the time nor the place, whatever the weather, it has your back. So, for example, if you want to get to where you want to go fast, then you've got 480 brake horsepower that you can tap into. What does that mean? Well, it can slingshot you to 62 miles an hour in just 3.3 seconds. That is quick. And I know Porsche can be a little conservative when it comes to those numbers, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was a little quicker than that. And thanks to its four-wheel drive system, none of those horses are wasted on wheel spins and the theatricals. It just goes. What does 3.3 seconds feel like to someone who hasn't maybe experienced it? And it's a very difficult thing to try and explain, but to help put it into context, compare that to a GT3 and it's thereabouts. And if you compare that to the likes of a Ferrari 458, for example, and really you're splitting hairs. So in and amongst some very stiff competition, it's no imposter. Oh, I've got a grasshopper on my windscreen. I guess the question is, can you daily such a weapon? Well, it wouldn't be much of a best mate if it left you hanging in that department now, would it?
The worst thing about the interior is probably the road noise. More specifically, the tyre noise. It can get pretty loud in the cabin. Other than that, the interior is a classy place to be, with just the right amount of touchscreen controls, as well as physical buttons and switches.
The seats, comfortable and supportive. The steering wheel, finished off in this wonderful Alcantara, feels lovely. The looks, iconic. And why is that important? Well, sometimes the best way to get to where you want to go is slowly, thus giving the general public time to ogle at one of the most iconic sports cars who celebrate their 60th birthday this year. This one is finished off in the agate grey and is complemented by the lovely black satin alloy wheels, which give it a bit of an understated but a classy look. Stealth enough to go unnoticed, but a timeless presence nonetheless. And here lies a lovely problem with the GTS. You see, it's got a 3-litre 6-cylinder engine developing best part of 500 brake horsepower. It's got a lovely, smooth 8-speed automatic gearbox, top speed of 192 miles an hour, and as we established, it does 0 to 62 miles an hour in a little over 3 seconds. So, although it does the daily stuff as good as any other sports car, it does one thing better. This. in answer to your question, no, that doesn't get old. But thanks for asking. The reward? Well, you've got this somewhat demonic howls of a flat six bellowing through the valleys of some of the best roads in the Cotswolds. Doesn't get much better than that. Not in England anyway. And it's at this point when the Porsche GTS becomes your wingman, empowering you to take on these B-roads like a fully fledged veteran seasoned racing driver and leave an indelible mark on every corner that you attack and conquer. And you can. You really can. Maybe if this was rear-wheel drive that I would have pooed my pants by now. But no, not in this one. One of the downsides in a roundabout way with the GTS 4, if you like, is that it's so competent that it can leave you feeling like a better driver than you might otherwise be. Why is that a bad thing? Well, looking through the lens of, let's say, a purist, that could maybe come across boring. What I mean is, take for example the car going around the bends. It's, as I say, it's so competent, it's almost as if it sees a bend and it goes Control Alt Delete. The corner, the bend is eradicated. That's how competent and able this car is, and I can understand how that can be misconstrued as boring. For example, given the choice, I think I might prefer the rear-wheel drive version, just so when you go around corners you feel a little bit more satisfaction that you control the car and maybe even have a little bit more fun with it going sideways and whatnot. Having said that, it's the same four-wheel drive system that helps propel the car to 62 mile an hour in just 3.3 seconds, so I guess each to their own. The base 911 Carrera was one of the first Porsche videos that I got to immortalize on the internet, and it's one that I look back and remember as the one that captured my imagination, and I hope that in the years to come my son gets to watch it back with fondness. And that iconic A911 appears in many videos on YouTube, and I've watched a few, and the common message is that it's considered as one of the best all-rounders. The case that may be, but in my opinion the GTS presents itself as a slightly different prospect, with all the ups and really none of the downs. In fact, the only down I could think of is the price, and is it worth the price difference? Well, I can't answer that. Well, I can. If money was no object, yes, I would pick the GTS, because in the case of cars, more is better, right? And I agree. I said it myself. The base at 911 is a fabulous bit of kit, but that's just until a 911 GTS pulls up next to you at a set of traffic lights. To a lot. My voice is still breaking, I'm 36. To a logical person, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. But luckily for me, as we established earlier, you're a car person. You know what I'm saying. Something I've mentioned in my past videos, I feel like 500 horsepower is such a sweet spot when it comes to a sports car. It's the sort of power that you can always tap into and really utilize almost all of it. You know, if you ever wanted to take the car on a racetrack, you know, it's going to give you plenty of power to have a lot of fun in. And when you chucking around these winding country roads, again, you can almost use all of it without any real issues, especially in the UK. Yes, 600, 700, 800 brake horsepower, I'm sure is brilliant and rather quite lovely, but how much of that are you really going to be able to use on a day-to-day basis? And it is all about how much you can use and how much of it you can put down. It would be the understatement of the year if I said that our UK roads aren't the best, but actually the ride on this GTS is firm but very fair. My spine and my teeth are all intact. What do I hope for Porsche to change in maybe the upcoming facelift models? And it's something that I didn't really notice in the base Carrera 911 video that I done, was this tiny teeny little gear shifter. I think I would just like something a bit more substantial and girthy in the palm of my hand. when driving such a powerful car, like the gear shifter that you get on the GT products. Just like, it's like ordering a 15-ounce steak and being given nail clippers to try and cut it. It just feels like too small of a tool for the task in hand. You know, you see it in these race and rally cars, these great big sticks, not only for like the handbrake, but for the gear shift as well. It's big and it feels powerful, like Poseidon and his trident, if you will.
And lastly, the base price for a GTS is £128,000, and you still have to pay for folding mirrors and parking sensors, which really need to be standard now, guys.
I mean, come on, Porsche. In any case, we are all very much living through Porsche's purple patch. They have found the Midas touch, and to be fair, they have done for some time now. New or old, 911s are gold. In terms of the way the GTS looks, to most, they won't be able to distinguish between this and, say, a base car. However, to the car guy, there are some interesting changes. For example, the wheels from the Turbo S with the center locking caps help make the car look pretty cool. Not only that, but the suspension on the GTS is 10 millimeters lower, which means that the arches are filled with a lot more tire over the standard car, thus helping the overall aesthetics. Now that I've done closing on like 400 miles with the car, what can I tell you in conclusion? Well, the 992 911 GTS is an ultimate automotive companion. Car that embodies the spirit of a man's best friend. Just like our furry friends, it brings us joy, it brings us loyalty, and it brings us companionship. The 911 delivers an exceptional performance and a thrilling experience that goes just beyond 4 wheels and an engine.
We could all use a break from reality occasionally. Maybe just out the house, maybe from work, or even sometimes away from something you love. When you're having an off day, perhaps you've got a creative block, or you feel uninspired, or it's technology that lets you down. When you're not on your A game, you can always rely on at least one constant, one that'll never fail to hit the right notes, make you feel invincible, undefeated, even when things don't go the way you want. And that's what the GTS is. It's the constant, it's the escape, it's a place of solace to be alone with your thoughts.
And to go absolutely wherever you want to go, both in the physical and spiritual sense.
That's what friends are for, aren't they?